evening, everyone, and welcome to How to Use LinkedIn to Your Advantage. My name is Michael Watson. I'm a member of the Executive Committee of 1stGenYale, and during the day I work at the New York, sorry, everything went blank for a second, but I work for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. I'm the Deputy Director of Human Resources, and we support approximately 8,000 employees there. Before that, I worked for National 4-H Council as a senior HR leader, as well as GE, Girl Scouts, and IBM. And as many of you know, LinkedIn is probably one of the most important tools you'll use in your career overall. So that is what the seminar is about today. What my job is tonight is to tell you how the program is going to work, introduce the panelists, and from there, we're going to keep everything on mute during the presentation. Then we're going to open up for the Q&A. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see a chat button. So if you have questions that you would like to ask during the course of the session, type your question into the chat and they'll be answered later as we go through the program. This program is recorded, as you may know, so you'll be able to hear it later if you would like. So with that, I'm going to go forward and tell you a little bit more about who has signed up for this evening's program. We have approximately 145 Yale students and alumni who've signed up. 32% are current students, representing about 85% of the total, and we have alumni making up 46% Yale College, and the balance from Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, SOM, the Law School, School of Public Health, as well as the Yale School of the Environment. 26 states, Washington, D.C., and 9 countries ranging from Ecuador, Mexico, Trinidad, Germany, Netherlands, India, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So this is a very popular topic in the United States and around the world. And with that, I would like each of the panelists to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their background and the organization, and we're going to get forward. We're going to get started.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for kicking us off. My name is Abhishek. I'm second year MD student at Yale School of Management. And before coming to New Haven, I was working in Unilever as product development manager in their Global Design Center. I did my internship with Amazon, and in next summer, I plan to return full-time there. I would be one of the co-presenter along with Ryan presenting about the background of LinkedIn, why it's important and how to have a profile in LinkedIn. And also I will looking forward for this session.
Thank you. Ryan?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Thanks, Avi. My name is Ryan Davis. I graduated in 2018 from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences in Chemistry. I was an NSF fellow. I'm the co-founder of Your Advantage, which is an academic tutoring company. Currently a global innovation project manager in the aerospace and defense wing of Henkel, which is the world's largest adhesive manufacturer. Inside there, I'm the chair of the Henkel Aerospace Cultural Alliance for Professional Development Committee, and I've also served as the president of the Henkel North American Toastmasters Club. Outside of that, I'm also an FGLI alumni at Yale, so I'm very passionate about helping other alums and using LinkedIn as a networking tool.
Thank you, Ryan. Karen?
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen. Pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am currently a rising junior at Yale in Pauli Murray College, if anybody else is in Murray. And this year I'm taking a leave of absence from Yale, which is why I said rising. But I'm still the co-president of the Yale FGLI advocacy movement, and we'll talk a little bit later about what we do. And I'm also the community relations chair for QuestBridge. Oh, and I'm majoring in ethnicity, race, and migration.
Great, thank you very much. And Karen and Nick, did you want to talk a little bit more about the Yale Careers, Connections, and Jobs Kickoff?
Did Nick introduce himself already, or did I just miss that?
No, Nick, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No worries. Hi, everyone. I'm the other co-president for YFAM with Karen. I'm also a rising junior, hitting pause on the degree and taking a gap year as well. And I'm studying political science and human rights.
Great. So did you just want to describe your program very quickly to everyone, and then we'll go right into the main core of the program?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, first of all, a big shout out to you, to Lise, Valerie, everyone that's sort of helped organize this over at 1stGenYale. You guys are awesome. A lot of great things are coming out of 1stGenYale. And as an FGLI community, we could not be more grateful for you all. And yeah, as Karen mentioned, we're both co-presidents of the Yale's first generation and or low income advocacy movement. And we focus on basically, you know, what our name sounds like, building community and also working on advocacy within Yale.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, we hold a bunch of this different events throughout the year. So recently YFAM partnered with QuestBridge to host an FGLI faculty panel, which was the first of its kind as far as I'm aware, with help from Dean Chun too. And that was really amazing. And so these are just sort of some of the events that we do, and other than partnering with 1stGenYale for events like this one.
Thank you very much.
And so now I'll screen share so that we can talk a little bit about a new LinkedIn group that 1stGenYale and YFM has partnered to create for the FGLI community at Yale.
And just a quick background as Karen's getting that up. We had met with Lisa and folks at 1stGenYale about this group, and we wanted to figure out the best way to launch it, get people on it, because I think it's a really important, we thought it was a really important way to help foster connections within the FGLI community and also make it tangible, connecting it to networking and internships. And we had come up with the idea of putting together this event to help explain how LinkedIn works. I know personally I'm still very lost on LinkedIn. My profile is very basic, and a lot of my peers are really rocking it. And so I'm here to learn as well. Very excited for this event. But so as Karen said, here's the group. It's called 1stGenYale Careers, Connections, and Jobs. You can find that by searching for it up in the box in LinkedIn if you haven't already been added to it. And basically, as you can see, and as the name suggests, it's really supposed to be sort of a hub for finding internships and connections within the Yale FGLI community.
Mm-hmm. And we can post the link in the chat so that everybody could join that as well. And you can just learn a little bit more about, how the group was formed. And honestly, this group is for the FGLI community in whatever ways you all find it helpful, whether that's posting job opportunities because you're looking for Yaleys, or if you're looking for job opportunities because you just graduated, or you're looking for internship opportunities. Like, I think that this group can just serve as a hub for all of these different kind of different opportunities. I keep saying opportunities because I don't know what other word to use. But yeah, it's kind of however the page is useful for you all.
Thank you. Anything else you want to cover, Karen?
I think that's all, but if anybody has questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll answer them along the way or answer them at the end of this session.
Okay. Then you can complete sharing your screen, and we'll now begin the program with Abby and Nick. So we're ready to go. Abby and Ryan, sorry. You guys are on.
Thanks, Michael. I will start by sharing my screen. Hi, everyone. We all know LinkedIn is very important for all the job seekers, as virtually all the recruiters of the world are on it. And it's also super confusing. How do we use LinkedIn? And that's why today we are here to walk you through the process of creating a profile, finding a job, and making connection. Not having a LinkedIn profile is considered oddity today, and recruiters simply assume that you don't know how to get things done in today's world. That's why, like, as with the LinkedIn own stat, you can see more than 600 million people are out there, and it creates a robust community. Uh, Generally, that's the trend that recruiters often Google search prospective job seekers. They want to get a feel of what they are looking after all. And Google's algorithm is designed in such a way that LinkedIn profile comes on top of Google search. As you can see, I have Google search myself, Abhishek Agarwal Yale, and the first profile that I see is LinkedIn profile. This is important for number of reasons. First, having a web presence eliminate doubt in recruiter's mind around the authenticity of the profile. There are many cases where, like based on discussion with recruiter, I found that the profiles that they received were fake. So the first step was doing Google search and understanding whether that person is really real. The second is, even if you have web presence out there, uh, you may be on Facebook, you may be on Twitter, and first impressions do matter. Oftentimes, other web appearances may not be preferable for you. It may be less professional than what you'd want your potential employer to look. And that's why having a LinkedIn profile is very important to put the first professional appearance. Resume, as we know, is a robotic version of people. It does not give you any space to be creative, to express ideas. LinkedIn has section. It has a summary section in which people can voice some of your idea. People can voice some of their goals, and it's written in much more casual way. Allows people to really express what they really are without getting limited by strict etiquette of what resume must follow. Having said that, what I will do next is I will walk you through how to create a like LinkedIn profile. There are like different important aspect of a basic LinkedIn profile, such as having a good headshot, such as having key search words. What are search words? What are keywords? I will cover that. So before I jump into that section, I want to like close this presentation by saying this picture summarizes how different wave appearances, an ideal wave appearance should look like. Yeah. So generally, what happens, as I mentioned, recruiters Google search you. In LinkedIn, recruiter generally write product manager if they are looking for people with product manager experience. Recruiters generally type brand manager if they are looking for people with brand manager skills. Uh, they also put some of these skills, such as problem solving skills, communication skills, and those are like those words act as important keywords. And if your profile has those keywords, it would generally come on top of their search. The other important factor that determines whether your profile come on top of their search is how many connections you have and whether you are first connections to them. Ryan will cover in detail around how to create connection, how to nurture them. And third, as I mentioned regarding the headshot, this is general human tendency that people would like to see about other people, about whom they are talking about, and generally a good smiling picture creates attractiveness, but and having a nice smile adds on top of it. It's important that the smile should not look fake. So what we should do is like going. I will give you a demo of how do we add profile picture in the LinkedIn profile. As you can see, like this is a dummy LinkedIn profile that I created, and it does not have, it has like just my name on it. uh, you To change profile picture, what we'll do is we will go to this me section, which is
I think it's still on your PowerPoint. The screen share is still on your PowerPoint.
thanks, Karen.
Mhm.
Can you give me quick
There we go.
feedback?
Looks good, Abhi.
Thanks. So yeah, so this is a basic version of the LinkedIn profile, a dummy LinkedIn profile that I created. And in the top right side, we see a me section. And if I click here, I can click on view profile. And by clicking on view profile, there are, I can go to add profile photo, which is there on the top left hand side. I can create add photo, select a pic, and click choose for upload. We can do little, we can drag and reposition it to center, zoom it slightly. We want to make sure that with this small space that we have, the face and the shoulder area come very through, and we can and click change photo. So now as you see, like it uploaded the picture. One thing to note is about the dressing sense for LinkedIn profile, and it's important to understand what job area you are applying for. If you're applying for a 200-year law firm, you'd want to put your 100% professional self out there. But if you're applying for 2-year-old startup, you may want to be slightly more casual. So it's important to understand the background of your target industry and have profile picture uh, in sorted in that fashion. As you can see, there is this headline that comes beneath my name, which is passionate about product management. And it's important to have right headline. Like if I'm interested in product management job, I would write something like passionate about product management. Product management are the keywords here. I would write Yale. So to change this headline, we will click this little pencil icon out there, and we can go to this headline. We can write about passionate if I'm interested about marketing, passionate about marketing, I can write Yale, I can write MBA, and I can click save. The second area which I mentioned was the summary section, and this is important for number of reasons. Like adding a summary section gives opportunity to put creative thoughts, to put goals. So we will click this add profile section, go to this about feature and click summary, and here we can type about various ideas that we have. For example, you can start with writing about the current position, then talking about some positions or some background, talking about what we want to do next, some connection details. And at the end, if you look in the specialties, I have put different keywords, and these are like general words that recruiters search, and if they put those words, my profile would have higher probability on getting on top of that. So like portfolio rationalization, modeling, digital transformation, this acts as a nice space where we can put all those keywords that we think are important, and we will click save. So you can see my about section is finished. The third most important area is to put the right experience, and just having the name of the position is not enough. For example, I have written a startup club secretary, Yale University. So if I want to signal to recruiter that I'm interested in marketing job, and I also have some previous marketing experience, so it may be nice to put like a couple of line, or at least team communications strategy, sending a weekly newsletter to 200 member with a 60% click through rate. So now my recruiter knows that I have some prior relevant experience, and if they look out there for that, my profile is best suited. So now, as you can see, like I've created my profile with headshot, with basic headline, summary section, and experience. LinkedIn has given this new feature, which is open to work framework, in which if I'm actively looking for job, I can signal to recruiters and my connections out there that I am open to work, and there would be a nice little frame coming open to work, such that anyone who has job opportunities for me can directly refer. So we can talk about like how do we set, like we can write different job titles that I am interested in, what are different locations. There's a new feature of open to remote work that LinkedIn has added, that we can add it. We can also signal what is the start date, whether we want full-time job, part-time job, internship. And in terms of having that framework open to work, people may not be actively looking for job, and they would simply want only recruiters to know, but not their LinkedIn connection. That may be the case if you are already in the job, you don't want to jeopardize your current position. So you can just change it to recruiters only, and people using like the LinkedIn recruiter version of LinkedIn would only say it. Okay, so I will discard this. And having, if you have any questions, please write that in chat and we will cover that. So this we talked about creating a basic profile. The second point I want to touch base is on finding a job. So you can see there's this job section. So we'll click this job section, and this will lead us to a new page out there. And we can type the name of the job, marketing manager, and just by entering New York City was default, as my profile was selected for New York City. We can change that. We can also include remote, and we can also filter based on different levels. For example, if I am looking for entry level job, if I click entry level, this will automatically filter all the entry level job. All right. And there's this there may be, as with the profile, there may be many jobs that are ghost job. By ghost job I mean they are not actively recruiting. So LinkedIn has again added this nice little feature where you can see this new tag of actively recruiting. And by this new tag of actively recruiting, LinkedIn means that the recruiter who posted this job is actively looking for profile and shortlisting them. So you may be having higher chance if you connect to those companies. So if we click on one of the job, we see there's a detail about job. In the right hand side, there's this connection. So if you have connections if there are Yale alums or some other alums in which you are like connected, you can see the name of those connections here. You can connect with them to learn more about this job, about their company. In some of the jobs, as it is in this case, uh, it also mentions who posted this job, basically the recruiter of this job. So you may directly reach out to them, ask more about this job, and take the discussion further. You may not necessarily have sufficient time to look for each of these jobs, go search it, and come every day on LinkedIn to see whether the job you're looking for is really available. So there's this feature of job alert. So we can turn this on, and we can put based on the search that we did, marketing manager in New York City with entry level job. Do I want to receive a daily alert or a weekly alert? How do I get notified? And based on the selection, LinkedIn will say, like LinkedIn will automatically send email to your mailbox and notification in the LinkedIn. So clicking save. This is how we do job searching. As you can see, in case of Johnson and Johnson job, we in my profile I don't have any connection, but as I have indicated that I'm currently studying in Yale, so I have 12 Yale alums who are currently working in very similar profile. I can click those profile and get to know those people, and if I have common connections with them, I can carry on the conversation. So this I covered the basic of how to set up a LinkedIn profile, how to find a job, and set job alerts. Looking forward for questions in the chat. I will hand over to Ryan to cover the rest part of the LinkedIn profile. Over to you, Ryan.
Great. Thanks, Abhi. Appreciate it. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see that okay? Perfect. So I'm going to be going over how to build relationships and find people using LinkedIn, which is a critical aspect to networking and just using LinkedIn as a tool to develop your own professional trajectory. Basically, what we will be talking about is how to build relationships, how to reach out to people. I'll kind of break down like how you actually essentially cold call someone on LinkedIn, so what to include in your message, how to follow up, some general expectations you should have from the exchange. And then I'll give you guys a sample message. And then finally, I'll give you like a click through similar to what Abhi did on how to actually find people at specific companies under Yale alums with different job titles that you might be interested in. And just a little thing to add on here, I tried to put this together with an FGLI mindset. So some of the topics might not apply to everyone, but I'm pretty sure most of us share a lot of similar issues coming from a first-gen low-income background. So I tried to gear things with that in mind to overcome some of the challenges that are common to all of us. Okay, so starting off on how to build relationships, just want to start off with a quick quote from one of my favorite authors, Dale Carnegie, from a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm going to plug this book really, really hard. I think everyone should read this. If you want to learn how to network well, want to learn how to get people to like you and to get things done, this is a great how-to book and great kind of mindset book on how to get you into the practice of accomplishing your goals and having a lot of people aid you in doing that. And what Dale says is you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. And I really think this is a really important concept to have in mind when you're using LinkedIn as a tool or just networking in general. When you break networking down, you're essentially making professional friends. I know coming from an FGLI background, the concept of networking was pretty intimidating at first, and I wasn't really sure exactly how you did that or what it was, but really when you break it down, you're just making friends with people you work with. And it's a lot easier to do that if you show an interest in them than just trying to get them interested in you. And I think if you can apply this and how you are going to use LinkedIn as a tool and just network as you go through your academic and professional careers, this is going to make that process a lot easier. And playing off that, again, plugging this book, there's 6 ways to make people like you that Dale outlines in this, and a lot of these are applicable to what we're talking about today. A couple of them aren't, but I thought it was worth touching as a segue into like how to actually do this thing. So the first thing going along with that quote was become genuinely interested in other people. And I think if there's one thing you take away from tonight and how to use this tool, how to network with it, and how to advance your career with that, is that people are very, very good at sniffing out when someone is insincere, as I'm sure all of us are very good at that as well. And really the key to overcoming that is to be sincere in your interactions with people, become interested in people, invest in their lives, and they will invest back in your life. I think it's a really important thing to always have in the top of your mind when you're asking for help or trying to network or do anything, that, you know, it's a two-way street. People need to get something and you need to get something as well. And if you have their interests in the top of your mind, they're probably going to have yours in the top of theirs too. Another big thing that Avia touched on is important in your profile picture, also important when you actually have calls with people, is smile. We all know that we like people who smile. It makes defenses go down. You know, if you're nervous or they're nervous, it really helps to kind of break those walls down. So just smile when you're talking to people. A third one that he says is remember that a person's name is, to that person, the sweetest and most important sound in any language. And this one's really critical because I see people get this wrong a lot. I think people try to use this concept, and you'll find that they will repeat your name over and over and over in every sentence they say to you, or if you get an email and they'll say your name over and over and over. And I know they're trying to make a connection. That's not the way you want to use it. Basically what he is saying in the book, and what I'm telling you, is that it's really important that when you talk to people or you pass people in the hall at your job or as you're networking, make sure you like say hi to them by name. Start the conversation off with their name. Make sure that like they know you know who they are, and that's going to really help you to build rapport with them over time. You don't need to repeat their name with every sentence, but make sure that they know that you know who they are. Moving on, be a good listener. We are going to be asking a lot of people to listen to us as we try to reach out using LinkedIn. In turn, you should also listen to them. You're not just trying to use LinkedIn to get a step ahead, but these people might also be contacts with you in the future where they might need help too. And the better you listen to them, the better they're going to listen to you, and we all collectively are able to progress together. Kind of going back into the first point is talk in terms of the other person's interest. This one's not really directly applicable to kind of cold calling people on LinkedIn, because a lot of us are going to be reaching out to other alums or contacts and asking for internships or jobs or advice. However, as you get past that stage and you move into your professional life, the better you can speak in terms of what other people want, even if it kind of fits your agenda, the easier it's going to be to win them over to your way of thinking. And this does apply a little bit in when we're actually going to be having meetings with people and asking them for help, but make sure that they're getting something out of the interaction as well, and you're going to get a lot better results out of that. And then finally, the last point before we get into it is make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. And this is what I think is probably the most important out of all of this, is when you're asking someone for help, when you're connecting with them on LinkedIn, when you're networking at events or even just at your job or at school, if you're able to make the other person that you're interacting with feel important and like you want to be there and want to get to know them, they're going to immediately take to you much better, and they're going to be willing to help you out. He uses a good analogy in this book in terms of why people love dogs so much. And it's because no matter what dog it is, no matter who you are, when you come in the room, dogs are just super excited to see you. And everyone likes dogs, right? Because they make you feel like you're super important. If you treat people in the same way, you're going to get a similar type of response. So as I segue into how to actually reach out to people, just want you to keep these things in mind. If you are like me, where sometimes interacting with people is a little bit intimidating at first, this is a really, really good book just to kind of break that down a little bit and get you in the mindset of that, you know, if you're likable, people are going to like you and going to help you out. And it's not that hard to be likable. And that directly translates into using LinkedIn. That said, let's talk about how you actually reach out to people. And with that, I want to start with what to include in your message, just the bare bones of cold calling someone on LinkedIn. So you did what Avi said, you found someone, you're going to ask them for help getting an internship or connection or whatever, this is kind of how you want to structure that. So you definitely want to include your name, obviously, your year and your major, so that there's some sort of connection to Yale there. A lot of us are going to be reaching out to Yale alums, and it's nice to know, what college you went to, what grad school you went to, when you're graduating, if you already did graduate, just some basic info about you to kind of establish that connection to that person. Personally, I like to include how you obtain their contact information, just so it's not a message completely out of the blue. And it's also just trying to build a bridge on some common ground there. Whether that's like the alumni directory, or you just got it through browsing LinkedIn or whatever, you can always throw it in the message. I think that's good to kind of build on that. Probably the most important thing you want to put in there is why you're messaging and how they can help you. If you are reaching out for help, you definitely don't want to beat around the bush on this part. You can be very clear, I'm messaging you in regards to this internship, and I'm hoping you can help me, do X, Y, and Z, but be very clear about that. If you are going to try to set up a time to talk, which I definitely encourage you to do, you definitely want to request a time to talk and give them dates and times if possible. Don't make them schedule it for you. Sometimes people will want to, schedule you in through their own system. For instance, my company uses Microsoft Teams. We don't use Zoom that often. So if I'm going to do something during work, it's a lot easier for me to do it in Teams, and I'll just schedule that for someone that reaches out to me. However, if you are asking for people's help, don't make them do a bunch of work to help you out. Go ahead and schedule the Zoom call, get their availability, and set that up for them. So they just need to click a button and you guys are talking. And then finally, probably the most important thing after that is make sure you say thank you. I've gotten a number of emails over the last couple of years where people don't say thank you, and it's a little off-putting. Sometimes they just forget, but it's important to thank people for their time if they're going to be helping you. To always be appreciative. In terms of what your message should look like from the structure, there's two main points here that I thought were important. 1 to 2 paragraphs is fine. You don't need to write a huge essay about your life. You don't need to justify anything. Just a brief, friendly message with an introduction, why you're writing, and what you're looking to get out of it. And that kind of leads into the second point on why I think it's okay to have a short message, is that these requests are not uncommon. People get asked for help all the time. Yale alum get asked for help all the time. So you don't need to spend a long email justifying yourself. You can just keep it short and friendly, and people are going to want to help you. Okay. Finally, after you have talked to the person, whether it's an email exchange or you have a Zoom call or something like that, you always want to follow up. And I'm sure most of us know this, but if you're applying for a job, an internship, you're reaching out to people in network, always follow up with them. You want to send a short thank you note after you talk, where you just thank them for the time. I like to include like an insight I got out of the conversation, which again, you're just trying to build this foundation of connection with the person. It shows that you were paying attention to what they said, and also that what they said helped you. So that's going to make them feel good about the interaction. It's also showing them that you are engaged in what's happening. And then if there are any next steps or additional questions that you have, I would definitely include that. So you might have an interaction where you're going to continue to have calls like once a month or something. So I would just lay that timing out and make sure that those steps are clear and expectations are set up in that. So there's no second guessing on what the next move is. And then the other thing that I think is important to realize, and I put this in just because I think this is an FGLI specific type issue, but it's important to know that people are happy to help you. I think a lot of us have a hard time reaching out, asking for help. We want to do things on our own because we probably got to Yale by doing a lot of things on our own. But it's important to know that other alum are thrilled when people email them, when people call them and ask them for help. And because of that, you want to make sure that you show that you appreciate their help. So again, make sure you send a thank you after your talk. You can keep it to a few sentences, but that's probably the most important thing you can do. If you don't send a thank you, that can be pretty detrimental to how they perceive your interaction. Okay, in terms of some expectations from that, again, I just want to touch on most people want to help you. I talked to, when I was setting this presentation up, I went and talked to a couple of friends who were higher level than me, so some VPs I know and some people in director levels, and I asked them, what they get out of it when people are asking them for help. And one of the really common things that they said, they get a positive feeling for being asked to help. Anyone who is being approached as an expert or someone that can lend a hand or someone that can give advice, it makes them feel good. It makes them feel important, and they want to be able to share that information and experience with you. So it is important that you kind of internalize that you're not putting anyone out by asking them for help or asking them for their time. Most people are happy to talk about their jobs. They're happy to talk about what they do. If they like doing it, they're going to want to talk about it and disseminate some of that too. In addition to that, kind of playing on that is some people almost feel obligated to help because you're putting your trust in them and they really want to come through for others. In the same way that if someone came to you for help, you want to make sure that you followed through and that they were able to succeed in what they were doing. It's no different for anyone else. So, people are getting that positive feeling. They want to help you. It's a really win-win situation for everyone. And then the last point here that I wanted to put is that it's also important to know that people aren't going to overextend themselves on a cold call type thing. If you know them and you're doing a mentorship with them or you've built a relationship, people will definitely do a lot more for you. However, if you're just initially reaching out and asking for some contact or some general advice, don't expect people to bend over backwards and just hand you a job. However, they're almost always going to provide you guidance. And if they're not the right person to talk to, they're definitely going to provide you contacts. So just important takeaways from there. In terms of the type of help you can expect, and I kind of arranged this in a hierarchy. Like I said, advice, that's always going to be provided. It doesn't cost anyone anything. If you ask for 30 minutes of someone's time, you're almost always going to get it, and people are going to be happy to give you advice. Once you start building a little bit of a relationship with that person, if you have a couple of interactions or a deeper conversation, it's often that people can refer you to other people. And more often than not, they'll let you use their name as a reference after some interaction. I definitely wouldn't expect a name as a reference after one conversation, but as a name for a referral to a position, sure, that's completely reasonable. And then finally, if you want a recommendation for a job, that's going to take some interaction with the person that they know your capabilities. That's just going to take a little bit of time. You got to build some trust with that person. A good example of that is that if someone is mentoring you, if you reach out, you have a couple conversations and you have like a regular monthly interaction or a bi-weekly type thing, and they're familiar with what you can do and your background, and you have some rapport going on with them, you can absolutely ask that person for a recommendation if there's a position or an internship that you are interested in. And again, most people are happy to help you with that if they think that you're going to be qualified for that or will be able to succeed. Okay, and then kind of playing off that last point, something again that I thought was really, really important for the FGLI community. And maybe this is just projecting how I felt when I was in college and grad school, but I think a lot of people feel this way. But it's important to know that what you don't ask for, you're not going to get. A lot of us got to where we are with some people helping us and some luck, but a lot of it was a lot of hard work. And once you get into the professional realm, that just amplifies. And what I mean by that is you really need to be your own advocate. No one's just going to like hand you positions on a silver platter. I mean, unless you're just a rock star knocking it out of the park, but even then you're being proactive if that's the case. But you have to be able to ask people for help, and that's how you're going to be able to get it. So if that is nerve-wracking for you or just intimidating, it's one of those things you just have to make yourself do and get over it and ask for help, and people will be willing to help. And look at the previous slides and just kind of remind yourself that when you ask for help, people want to help you. And a good example of that is look at all of us in this presentation tonight, Michael and Lise and everyone. We're here to help you guys. We're happy to do it. There are thousands of other alums in the same position who are happy to help. And then in terms of looking at it from a loss point of view, if you're a very analytical type person and you have kind of a fear of being rejected and asking for help, you can kind of think of it in terms of getting from point A to point B to point C on the line. If you're starting at point A and you're asking for help and you need to go through point B to get to point C, and you ask for help and someone says no, you didn't actually lose anything. You're just still back at point A where you started from. So again, if it's intimidating for you to ask for help, you really have nothing to lose by asking. You kind of have everything to lose by not asking. So just put yourself out there. If you need support from your friends or anyone, get that, but make the ask. People are going to help you and you can move along your way. Okay, moving, I guess not moving really, but talking a little more about FGLI specific concerns. Like I said, a lot of us tend to be really independent and feel like we need to do things on our own. Actually, a good friend of mine who's a director at Henkel, he's also an FGLI person. His parents were immigrants from Italy. I don't even think they graduated grade schools. He came from a very, very poor, very low education background. He's done incredibly well for himself. But one of the things he had said is, he always has this feeling that he has to do everything on his own, has to be really independent. And one of the things he's really learned throughout his career is that it's really important to not overextend yourself in a position to where you're not going to be able to achieve something. And that's when you need to be able to ask people for help. And that's finding like a great internship at like a Facebook or a Google or something. And it might be a little beyond what you're comfortable with. Ask for help. And that's the time to do it. So it's really important to make sure that you're able to identify that in yourself and then make the ask. Another thing that's really important as you start developing relationships with people is to keep your promises. You want to deliver on what you say. That's going to help you to build trust. And as you move into your professional career, trust is everything. And like I had mentioned before, if you're looking for recommendations and referral and you're trying to build trust with people and have them get to know you, it's really important that you come through on the things you say you're going to do. So if you say you're going to help set up a meeting in a couple of weeks from the time you talked, make sure you do that in a timely manner. Shoot them an invite within 24, 48 hours. If there are some actions or they send you an article to read, make sure you read it and you have something to talk about next time you speak with them and help to kind of build that rapport. And then finally, just kind of tying into the first point is know where you bring value. And if something is outside of that scope, ask for help again. So as you move into these internships, as you move into these positions, you're probably going to be facing some situations where the task at hand is outside of your scope of expertise or your scope of experience. That's not the time to try to pony up and do it on your own. That's the time to reach out to your colleagues, ask for help, and work as a team to accomplish something. Through that, you're going to gain some additional skills. You're also going to inadvertently network with these people by working on a team with them, and it's going to help you be a lot more successful. Okay, finally, talking about the frequency of contact. So I think a lot of times we are interacting with people, it's going to be a one-shot thing. You're probably going to have one call with them. They're going to give you some contacts or some advice, and that's going to be it. However, other times you might have a more frequent conversation if you guys hit it off or there's some common interest there. But generally, it's going to be an initial contact, a conversation, and a follow-up. And then beyond that, it's really going to depend on what you can offer them and what they can offer you. Meaning that if this person is able to give you information and you're working with that and they see your growth from that, that's probably going to encourage them to keep doing that. And you're going to have a really kind of dynamic situation building off that. And then the frequency of those meetings is really going to depend on how dynamic that is and how much they're able to give you and how much you're able to absorb and kind of give back. But at some point, if one party is not getting as much as the other person, that's when you need to kind of adjust that frequency and reevaluate what that's going to look like. Every situation is different, so I don't want to give you specific examples, but if you're meeting with someone monthly and they're really crunched at work and you're not getting a whole lot out of the meetings, or you feel like they're not necessarily super prepared for that, it might be time to dial those back and push them to like every 3 months or something. However, if someone is really engaged and you're getting a lot out of it and you'd like to talk to them more and they're open to that, you can have like biweekly or anything like that with them, but make sure you're always reevaluating that each party is getting something out of your interaction. And if they're not, then it's time to adjust. And then finally, before I get into how to find people, I want to provide everyone with just a sample message. Sometimes when you sit down at your computer to write a message, it can be a little intimidating. This is actually an example of a Yale undergrad that had reached out to me looking for a position in Henkel. And I thought her email was great, so I kind of changed it a little bit and just took out some of the personal info. But feel free to screenshot this. This is going to be recorded. If you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to send it for you. But this is just a really basic email that introduces yourself, says how you found them, what you're looking into, and what you are trying to get out of an interaction with them, and then asking them for a time to talk. So feel free to copy this and just input your own information in there. That's really all you need to send someone. If you want to elaborate more, feel free, but you really don't need to. I think this is more than fine for a first email to someone. Okay, so now that we went over how to build some relationships and how to reach out to people, I'm going to go quickly how to find people on LinkedIn if you're not really sure how to do that. And then I believe we're going to open it up for some Q&A. So that said, you have your basic LinkedIn screen. You can come up here into the search bar. And the first thing you want to do is type in a company that you want to look for. So say you want to find jobs at Google. I type Google in here, hit enter, and that's going to start filtering people down by that. So that'll bring you to this screen here. And then you want to find here on the left side of the screen where it says people. So you're going to click the people button, and this is now going to take you to all the people that work at Google. Once you're in there, you have this box in the middle that's going to allow you to apply some filters. So the first thing you want to do is type in Yale University or Yale School of Management. When you type in Yale, there's going to be 20 different things that come up. You can include all of them if you want, but you want to basically start to target people from some organization that you're going to have some common ground with that you can talk to. If you want to add additional schools, colleges, affiliations, anything like that, you can click the add button once you have that initial filter in there, and that'll allow you to add things. So here when I was making this, I accidentally typed Yale University twice, but I just kept it in there because it shows you can apply multiple filters, and you can just keep filtering that down and down and down and down. So if you want Yale University and then Yale SOM, and then I don't know, Yale, another Yale group, you can do that. It's going to filter everything down for you. And then finally, if you want to then search by job title, so if you have an idea of what you want to do, say you want to have an awesome job like Abi's going to have when he graduates and be a product manager, you would type product manager in there in the search and click that. And what that's going to do is take everyone who is at Yale, or sorry, who went to Yale or is affiliated with Yale and also has that title of product manager. And that's going to spit out this group of people, which then you can go through and reach out to. And you can add as many of these filters as you want, or keep it as vague as you want if you're trying to reach out to a whole lot of people. But that's basically how you identify a company, identify a school or an organization that you want an affiliation with, and then look for specific job titles that when you're reaching out to people to talk to them, you know you're getting the right person, or at least you're getting close to the right person and they can help you find the right way. And then just piggybacking off all that before I close out, just want to also reiterate that we have this 1stGenYale Careers Connections and Jobs group on LinkedIn that's going to be kicking off soon. Please join that. A lot of us are going to be there helping out with positions, with advice for undergrads and alumni. So feel free to join that, and the more the merrier. So with that said, that's pretty much everything I had. Thanks for your time, and I will turn it back over to Michael.
Abi, Ryan, thank you for an excellent job of covering LinkedIn, how it can be used, and how they can use it to reach out to people and advance their careers. Now we're going to open up to questions, and Valerie or Lise are going to read the questions. But if you think of questions as they're answering, feel free to continue to add questions to the chat. And with that, I turn it over to Valerie and Lise.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Abby. Thanks, Ryan. That was really terrific. And thanks to all of you for attending today. So we're going to jump into the Q&A. We have a lot of questions that have come up in the chat, and Lisa and I will do our best to get through as many of them as we can. And we can even extend the Q&A a little bit past our set time if we need to, because I think it'll be a really, really rich discussion. So one of the specific questions we got for Ryan, but Abby, feel free to take it too, is that when we're talking about thanking people after you've made contact with them, should that be through email or should that be a physical thank you note? That's a question we had in the Q&A. What do you think?
Oh, wow. A physical thank you note is going to be really weird if you don't physically interact with them, I think, like if it just shows up at their house. However, if you're at work or something like that and you had like lunch with someone and they helped you out, dropping a physical note that's an amazing thing to do. I think the vast majority of people would send an email, which is more than appropriate. But if you want to drop a small thank you note, that's not going to hurt you in any way. I think that's a really nice gesture, and not many people would think to do that.
Okay, next question would be, what's the best way to make our LinkedIn page stand out?
Yeah, I think I can cover that. There are three parts to it. One is to have a genuine smiling headshot. The second part is to have connections, lots of connections with different people, so that if anyone searches for anything, you are there on top of it. And third is, which I covered, is to have great profile by including lots of keywords, such that for anything that comes, my profile gets linked to it. So I always boil it down to three things: headshot, connections, and good keywords.
Brian, you want to jump in and answer? You don't have to. We have plenty of questions.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I don't think I have a lot more to add to that.
Okay, great. So we had a question in the chat about resumes and your LinkedIn profiles and how the two relate to one another. Can the two of you talk a little bit about how people should be thinking about resumes versus their LinkedIn, and if there's information that should absolutely always be on both, how you can mobilize them differently? What do you both think about that?
Sure. So I think there are going to be different schools of thought on this. Your LinkedIn should be kind of a sampling of what you have to offer to get people excited for the meal, and your resume is really the fleshed out meal there. You definitely don't need to reproduce your entire exhaustive resume on your LinkedIn, but you'd want to have some like key points. And like Avi had mentioned, if you're targeting a certain type of role, you want everything to kind of relate back to that. So all your keywords, all of your examples, all of your positions should kind of tie into that, and then let your resume really show the heavier work there. I'd seen that question in the chat earlier. And another thing too, you can definitely include a hyperlink on your resume that links to your LinkedIn. So if you're sending that out, that someone can just click that and immediately go to your profile too. But I would definitely include that to tie the things together.
Ryan, what do you guys think? Ryan, what do you guys think of the LinkedIn resume service? A couple people have used the resume service who have made some recommendations. What are your thoughts about the LinkedIn approach to how to do resumes?
Avi, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I tried using that, but I did not find it to be of much help. And the version of LinkedIn that I like about is to have, as Ryan mentioned, I use LinkedIn to be a good teaser that talks about my general interest area, some sort of specificity to the job I'm applying for. But I would want my potential recruiter to reach out to me to have to ask for resume so that I get an opportunity to fine tune my resume based on different job responsibilities. There's this feature on LinkedIn about uploading the resume, so that there are many jobs with like LinkedIn Easy apply tool, in which you just click one button and your resume, which is there on LinkedIn, automatically gets sent to the company. I think that can be slightly tricky to handle.
How about in terms of resume formatting, in terms of using color and graphics and different kinds of fonts, different sizes, bold? Apparently the LinkedIn services are recommending a couple things. I'm just wondering what you guys think about that.
So I think that's going to be really industry specific. I think a lot of people who work in more creative fields, you can take a lot more liberty with your resume, and there's some amazing templates out there. Something I see a lot of time are these like skill bars people put on their resumes, which tell you absolutely nothing about what they actually do. I think Yale School of Management has a really, really nice standard resume template that's easily recognized. No matter where you send it, people are going to be able to quickly get your info that they need out of it. The more fluff you put in, the more you make people work to get through your resume, the less likely they are to actually do that. However, I do put that with the big caveat that if you are in a design heavy field, which is outside of my realm of experience, but from what I've seen, those resumes can get really fun really fast, but that's not super common.
So in terms of color and graphics and emojis and the rest, like not recommended, right?
I would not personally.
I'd also like to chip in here just to share my experience, like with major tech companies out there now, and even with like most of the CPG companies. I don't know about Henkel, so I wouldn't cover that. The first round of shortlisting is generally through algorithm. So recruiters generally put all the resume through some sort of black box, and a filtered shortlist comes out from that black box. I think it's important to have a resume in nice, simple structure, as Ryan mentioned, so that all those different sections get picked where it is required, and what you really want to communicate gets communicated. But again, like design aspect is completely out of my understanding and RAM as well, so I would not like to touch base there.
That's great. Thank you. We have an interesting question here, especially since LinkedIn has changed a bit recently in terms of people being really active and treating it more like Facebook. So someone is asking, is it worthwhile to be kind of a content producer and poster on your own timeline and be participating in discussions and commenting on other people's walls? Or is it just okay to lurk and then reach out if you need them? Or should you be more active? Should you be more active? It's a great question. Great question.
I think both approaches are completely valid. Piggybacking off Avi's comment of building your own brand, if you're trying to do that, being active in that community obviously is going to help you establish that brand. That said, LinkedIn is a place for professional discussion. I see a lot of people getting political on LinkedIn and treating it more like Facebook, and I think that probably does you more harm than it does good. That said, by all means, get involved in discussions and offer solutions, offer feedback to what people are saying. All you're doing there is making potential networking contacts. So the more involved you are with people, the more attention you're going to get from other people, and the more likely it is to be seen and move into something different because of it.
Really quick question. Should one use their college email address or use their personal Gmail address or make up another email address? What do you guys recommend?
I start with using personal email address, and going forward, as we put down experiences section, LinkedIn generally sends option to put secondary email address as well, and there we can put our work email address or college email address and link both. But if primary email address,
is there a bigger impact if they use their yale.edu or whatever their college or graduate school email address is versus their personal or Gmail address for initial impact?
Generally, for all those search purposes, having both emails help. Like my LinkedIn profile is linked with my personal email address, my work email address, and as well as my .yale.edu email address. Those helps in keyword selection. The reason why I'm emphasizing on using primary email address is because LinkedIn is going to stay with you as your personal brand, and no matter when you switch jobs or different academic institute, there's a way to link them all, and primary email address act as a common thread.
I also wanted to actually jump in here and say that to be careful of using your Yale email in your LinkedIn, because that doesn't follow you after you graduate. And actually there was an incident with me where there was a Karen Lee that graduated years before me and used her email for LinkedIn. And then I was just able to be like, forget password and then get into her LinkedIn, because I was confused at what was going on. And so I did forget password to see like if there was an account of mine that I just wasn't aware of. And then I got into her LinkedIn and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not me. So I had to email her and apologize and be like, I did not realize that like this was happening and blah, blah. And she said, it's okay. I just changed the password. It's fine. So that's why I just always caution people from using their Yale emails, because you never know what's going to happen in the future.
She's lucky. She's lucky you weren't evil.
Great advice, Karen. Thank you.
Yeah, we have someone in the chat who's talking about using a work email address too, because that will end if you no longer work for the company. And that's excellent advice, because a recruiter may continue to contact you at that address and then it'll bounce back. We had another question too that was not in the chat, but someone had raised it. LinkedIn Premium. So you have the ability to pay for additional services through LinkedIn, whereas opposed to the basic site, you just kind of get access to all of the things that Ryan and Avi were talking about. Does anyone want to weigh in on LinkedIn Premium versus basic LinkedIn, and if it's worth it to do that?
I think it really depends on what you are trying to get out of it. LinkedIn Premium lets you message people that you're not necessarily connected with without having like a third party to go through. It also shows you some statistics of what types of people are applying to jobs and what recruiters are looking for, and directly reach out with them. I think if you are like heavily targeting your job search and in the throes of that, it's just another tool you can use. And I don't know how much it costs, like $20 a month or something like that. But if you have the funds to do it, and that's going to be a useful thing, if you go through what it gives you and you think that's going to be useful in your search, there's no harm to it at all. I definitely used it when I was looking for my first job and found a lot of value in that. However, I also know people that didn't really get a whole lot out of that if you already have established connections. So I think it's going to be really like varied by the user. But if you're trying to reach out to more people that you might not necessarily already be connected with or know, I think it's advantageous to give it a shot.
We've got a question from someone. We'll be taking a couple of more questions before we turn it back over to Michael, but this person is asking, should we be making as many connections as possible, even if you're not searching for a position in that moment? You want to weigh in?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and weigh on that. Personally, I treat networking like I do just making friends and people in general. If you have an association with someone or you know them in any way at all, I don't think it hurts you in any way to be affiliated with them on LinkedIn and to grow that network. By being connected with someone, you also can see their connections as well. So the closer you are to other people, the more of an extension you will get because of that. That said, I personally have the view that I tend to only connect with people that I actually know and that I view in a positive light and would view me in a positive light. You definitely don't want to put yourself in a bad connection type of thing where you know, you might not necessarily trust the quality of someone's work and then be affiliated with them. Realistically, I don't think that would ever really blow back on you on something like LinkedIn, but something to consider. So I try to always make sure I'm connecting with people I actually know and that I think the quality of their work is good and they would think the quality of my work is good as well. And just tying off that or piggybacking off that, you know, say if you're not currently looking for a job or anything from that person, you never know when you're going to need help down the line. And just like in life, it's never a bad thing to have more friends. And you never know when you're going to need the help of more friends. So make friends, make connections, network. It's only going to help you out in the long run.
And that actually connects totally to Tamar's question of how do you reach back to someone maybe you knew a long time ago or a while ago? How do you reconnect? People love to connect. People love to be connected. So don't be shy to connect with someone you knew 10, 15, 20 years ago who you worked with or went to school with or had experience with, something that's positive, and say, hey, I'm just checking this out. I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? People love to be connected. So don't be shy and just reach out. And it's actually a great opportunity, and especially with the pandemic and through Zoom, to connect with people you never would think to connect with. People love to hear from you. So reach out and just say, hey, I read about you, or you're in this profession, you're in this job. I'm thinking about changing jobs. What do you think I should do? What do you think? People will respond. They will be positive and respond. So just go ahead. And as Nike said, just do it.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, there's a comment in the chat, never burn your bridges, which is really excellent advice. This person is giving the example of being laid off and now a few years ago and now consulting for them. And that is so true. You never know how things will come around, whether it's your choice to leave or whether it's the company's choice that you leave. You want to leave on a good note, no matter what. You want to be professional about it and you want to be courteous about it, and even more than courteous if you can be, because those relationships endure.
Great job.
Any other questions? We have a question for all of you. So we're thinking about doing another one of these. And we wanted to gauge from all of you who are attending if you think you'd be interested in coming to another one, or if you think it was worthwhile. And if we do another one, what kinds of topics would you want to hit that we maybe didn't get a chance to cover or only covered a little bit in this session? So if you have suggestions about that, type it into the chat. You can message us privately. You can message Lisa on the 1stGenYale email that we talked about earlier. So we want your feedback about that because we are interested in doing another one of these if you all want us to.
Yeah, and while you're writing in the chat, I just want to do a little bit of advertisement. You'll see in our LinkedIn account of Careers, Connections, and Jobs, we've been posting opportunities from the FYI board, Friends of Yale of Industry board. We are creating a series of job opportunities in marketing, engineering, accounting, data science, and other fields, working directly with companies who want to hire Yale graduates. And you're going to start seeing these, so be responsive. These are for students who are in gap years, gap semesters, for recent alums, for Yale alumni, students and alumni who want to spend some time in these companies, from healthcare, data science, accounting, and other companies. You'll see them as we post them. These are opportunities for you not just to do the job, but actually do a rotation through the company, work with the CEOs, work with the COOs, and spend time through a process or at the end of the day where you'll be placed in a job within the company. You're paid full time while you're doing your rotation, but they're exclusive for Yale alumni and Yale students, especially those who are doing a gap semester or gap year. So pay attention to what we post and apply quickly. You'll see them as we post them. We've got 7 that we have posted or will be posting shortly. So as you're posting to Valerie's comment, I'm just making an advertisement to the FYI board. You're going to see more and more of these. This is a series of alumni. There are about 4 of us working together, creating a new opportunity of jobs and Yale connections and sort of a cohort opportunity for students and alumni to be together in these variety of companies. And we're also developing the company base. So stay tuned and look forward to seeing you soon. I'm going to turn it back to Valerie in terms of reading the comments and the chat.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good suggestions here. We're taking all of these down and we'll think about it as we do more programming. I have one more question that someone raised that I think is helpful. And if we don't know the answer, we can find out. Someone asked if any of Yale's departments or schools offer free professional headshots, which is a pretty interesting question. So if anyone knows offhand, weigh in. And if not, we can find out. I would think maybe the drama school, perhaps, and then the theater departments. But Lisa, do you know? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a great question, though. It's an opportunity for somebody.
Yeah, we can look into
create
that.
a new business of how to do headshots. So any of you guys want to step up, we'll be glad to promote you through all our social media channels.
If you want to be a photographer or something like that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
In School of Management, we use this headshot to get fund for internship fund, which is a student-run fund supporting internships. And generally, students take, with a camera take headshot of other students, and the other students pay $5 or $10 for the fund, and that's a great way to have both the work done simultaneously.
That's great. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to, oh, sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, someone asked a question earlier about how to maximize Twitter and Instagram. So I wonder what you guys think about how do we, while this is a LinkedIn profile program, how do we also connect to be most efficient with Twitter and Instagram in our profiles?
It's the same way as if you're engaging in content on LinkedIn. You know, Twitter is obviously a truncated version of that, where you're going to have smaller type posts, but retweet people, make sure you're following people or following different companies that you're interested in, interact with those posts. You can link to that through Instagram, through LinkedIn, through Twitter, all those things. As long as they're kind of interconnected and you have easy links to go back and forth between all those, as long as you are developing that personal brand and everything is positive and putting you in a good light, all of those are really, really helpful. In addition to that, it's easier to be engaged in the professional community surrounding those topics and meet new people through that.
And Abish, you in India, what do you think? What's your comment?
Like, I agree with what Ryan said. For Instagram, like I know it makes sense for creative world out there, but based on the job that I am doing, I feel I would want my Instagram to be private to myself and to a very close connections, a personal connections that I know of. I would keep my LinkedIn and Instagram accounts as like 2 different accounts, and I would try not to link both of the accounts. But yeah, like for LinkedIn and Twitter, it makes sense to treat Twitter as a truncated LinkedIn version and go out with connecting different organizations, different people, and get to engage in various communities there.
You can also have professional and private accounts. So for instance, I have a professional Twitter that I work with, and I definitely keep my private stuff separate from that.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
Just use different emails.
Your emails.
Oh, different emails.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so just make separate accounts and you can use them. You definitely don't have to, depending on your industry. I think someone had made a comment here that some industries are much more Twitter heavy than others, and some where it's not appropriate at all. But for instance, if you're in the sciences, I mean, that's a really Twitter heavy type industry for passing information along. And if you're involved in that on a professional level, it's only going to benefit you.
Well, let me ask you guys, in the employment field, including Michael, do people who are looking to hire employees also look at all the various social media? So Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and etc. Facebook, do you guys scan everything to see what people's profiles look like?
Well, I'll just say very quickly that some companies will look at all your social media. So you do not want to have photos of you drinking, doing crazy things, because that will develop an impression of you. And that could cause someone not to invite you in for the interview. And some people they think they'll actually be able to post whatever I want to, but just realize there are consequences to that can affect your employability. And even what you say, if you start getting into political statements and those kinds of things, that can hurt you because we're in a very split country. So to me, it's none of their business whether you're Republican, Democrat, or anything else. What are your skills and qualifications for the job? Abby, Ryan?
I couldn't agree with that more. Like Michael said, I think it's really important that, yes, you do have the ability to post anything you want. And I think in an ideal world, you should be able to post anything you want. But we don't necessarily live in an ideal world, and everything you post stays on the internet forever. Like it's not going away. So make sure the stuff you are putting out there is stuff that you would want other people to see. And I think a good rule of thumb is just make sure everything is positive. No one wants to see a bunch of negativity or really heated type discussions. As long as you are being decent towards other people and just living your life in a positive way, it's only going to reflect well on you.
The only nuance I would add to that is that, again, it depends on your field, right? If you are in politics or if you're working for sort of activist communities, right? There are going to be people who want to see that you're active and that you're taking a stand, right? So you have to gauge your field. But in general, yeah, Michael's advice is spot on.
Great point.
Well, I want to thank all of you for excellent questions, and I'm going to give an opportunity for Abby and Ryan to give their final thoughts, as well as Karen and Nick. So Abby, Ryan, any final thoughts for everyone?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I think, in this session, we talked about creating LinkedIn connection and talked about different web appearances. But I would say at the end, it's important to develop a human connection, and all this should act as a tool towards achieving that. So I would use all these platforms to reach out to people and develop a more heart-to-heart connection rather than just keeping on the virtual self.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to first thank Lise, Nick, Karen, Valerie, Michael, and Avi for putting this event together. I wish I had something like this when I was in grad school looking for jobs. So it's really amazing to be a part of this, and definitely honored to be able to share this with you guys. And just hammering on, I think the point I've made through my entire presentation is treat people well, be interested in people, and don't be afraid to ask for help. And you're going to be successful. If there's one thing you take away, I think that would be it.
Thank you. Karen, Nick, do you have any final thoughts?
My final thought is just thank you to Ryan, Avi, Michael, Valerie, and Lise for helping to organize this. And of course, thank you to Nick, my partner in crime, for helping with this as well.
Nick?
Ditto, couldn't say it better myself.
Well, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this evening, and hope you learned some things. Feel free to continue to make comments and send emails in. And I want to see if Lise has any final comments before we close the program today.
And I want to just thank Michael, Ryan, Karen, Abish, and Nick for being part of this incredible panel, and Valerie, who is our queen of Zoom and running all the operations for this. You guys have done a phenomenal job. Thank you. Be sure to check into our LinkedIn, our brand new group that's was in a quiet launch and now in a full-blown launch, Career Connections and Jobs, to post opportunities, as well as Karen and Nick has said, to expand conversations, to talk about what you're looking for, what you want to do. It's a connection of Yale alumni and students working together. focus on first gen low income, but obviously we're here to help everyone possible. So be sure to use that. We have 131 links so far. People have joined us, but feel free to share that with your networks. It's a focus only on 1stGenYale, but we really want to make sure that we encourage dialogue and conversation as well as job opportunities. So continue to look into that. Feel free to post questions, post concerns, post opportunities, and we'll be sure to follow up as well. But I want to thank everyone for being part of this panel, and I want to especially thank Valerie for hosting us today with Michael, being our host from the 1stGenYale Executive Committee. And stay tuned, and we will take your chat seriously and your suggestions for programming in the future. And we look forward to seeing you again. This is recorded, and we will have the link on our recording both on our 1stGenYale YouTube channel, as well as posting it on our 1stGenYale Gmail, where we are, all our social media from LinkedIn and Instagram, as well as Facebook. So I want to thank you all for tonight, and look forward to seeing you guys in the future, and wish you all a healthy and safe holiday and new year, and we'll see you in January. So thank you. Michael, I'm going to turn it back to you for final comments. Thank you.
I would say have a great holiday, but think that LinkedIn can be a very positive force in your career. Learn as much as you can about it, use it well. It can literally change the trajectory of your career. So use it to your advantage. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.